Joining me now is Connecticut Congressman Jim Himes, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining me tonight. Let's just first start with what the Speaker of the House said just a few hours ago. He's going to take this fight with the Attorney General to federal court. What is your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, let's remember what this is all about here. They're angry because the Attorney General hasn't produced the actual recording of the interview of President Biden. Now, he has produced the transcript, as I think was appropriate, and there was a legislative purpose for this. But we all know that the reason why they want the recording is so that they can mess around with it or clip it or take it out of context in a way to embarrass the president. That is not a legitimate legislative purpose for a subpoena. Let us also not forget that Peter Navarro, lately of the Trump administration, is in jail over contempt of Congress. Steve Bannon is on his way to jail for contempt of Congress. And back when Donald Trump was president, of course, contempt of Congress was a daily thing like breakfast or exercise, right? But what this shows us, Alex, is that, even the Speaker of the House, will do whatever, anything, absolutely anything to please the dear leader, Donald Trump. I mean, look, Donald Trump came to Capitol Hill this week. Look at the photographs of the senators and the members of the House of Representatives looking at Donald Trump the way a 13-year-old girl looks at Taylor Swift. I mean, you just need to look at those photos to see that our government has been turned into a tool for doing the whims of one Donald Trump. And the Republicans are just, this is what they do now.
Yeah, I mean, the videotape of Republicans singing happy birthday to President Trump and clapping and applauding him are certainly embarrassing, at least to those of us on the outside. And the central grievance that the Republican conference has with Merrick Garland is, as you point out, a release of the audio tapes of the president's sit-down interview with special counsel Robert Hur, the man tasked with investigating his retention of some White House documents. My question, though, is, as absurd and fantastical as these grievances are, they have poisoned some part of the American public against the Justice Department, against the FBI, and certainly against the Attorney General. I mean, that report out of Texas where people are trying to attack or threatening to attack FBI agents, that's not a single solitary incident. There are other ones like that in this climate. And I guess, do you worry about more of that as Republicans continue on this campaign?
Of course I do, Alex. It's profoundly dangerous to basically vilify the federal government. I was in the chamber on January 6th when thousands of Americans attacked the seat of their own democracy. They beat up on police officers. They broke windows. They soiled the very center of our democracy. That happens because people like Donald Trump and his many, many acolytes in the party convince, as you put it, a pretty substantial minority of the American population that the election was stolen, despite not a shred of evidence that that was true, right? And so now, it's all the weaponization of the government. The federal government is going after, its political adversaries. Alex, who's the one person that has been convicted in a federal trial associated with the president? It's the current president's son. Hunter Biden was convicted by a federal prosecutor. But that's not going to stop, of course, this very dangerous rhetoric. Dangerous because of the violence it may provoke, but dangerous also because, over time, I don't believe a majority, but a substantial part of the American public, because they've stopped thinking about the facts, are going to lose faith in the FBI, in the Department of Justice, in their government. And I don't know what an America looks like when half the population doesn't believe in government. That feels like anarchy to me.
Yeah, and I guess I would also wonder about the implications in terms of the basic functionality of Congress and the degree to which this Republican Party is allegiant not to the country, but to one man. I mean, I'm looking at the two appointments that Speaker Johnson made to your committee, the Intelligence Committee, and Scott Perry from Pennsylvania and Ronnie Jackson from Texas, two of the most outspoken Trump supporters. Scott Perry involved in the effort to overthrow the 2020 election. I mean, do you worry that these guys are going to have access to classified information? They love Donald Trump. Donald Trump's running for president. Are they going to share classified information with Donald Trump? It doesn't seem beyond the realm of the, possible to suggest such a scenario, as crazy as it may be.
You know, what I just said about, the Speaker and pretty much every Republican being willing to do whatever Donald Trump asked for. The Speaker himself said that he put these two on the Intelligence Committee without, by the way, telling Chairman Turner or consulting Chairman Turner, who has spent the last year working with me to make this committee as nonpartisan as possible, to make it as serious as possible. Look, I'm not going to open up on Mr. Perry and Mr. Jackson because I need to work with them. But I will observe for you that, a good half of the Republican conference was appalled that the Speaker did this because of the reasons that you actually just articulated. Look, Scott Perry is apparently still under investigation by the FBI, which is, of course, part of one of the organizations that we on this committee oversee. So it's a bizarre thing. I'm going to leave it there, though, because, again, in the service of trying to make sure this committee, very important committee, stays functional, I'll hold my fire.
Yeah, and I think we all appreciate your statesmanship on that. But I would say if you look for an example of a fox guarding the henhouse, Scott Perry on the Intelligence Committee seems like a pretty solid one. Congressman Jim Himes, thanks for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you, Alex.